Hey, welcome back, PowerHouse people. My name's Zach Shue.
Dan Turbyville.
Dan Turbyville. He's there. Look at him.
Here
Welcome
I
back.
am.
This is the
PowerHouse Fence Show.
That's what it is. It's a show. It's a fence show. It's a
Yeah.
PowerHouse fence show.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what we do is we talk a little bit about our experience. Occasionally we have guests to share their experience in the commercial fence estimating and facilitating process, mostly the office side, a little bit of technical stuff,
Commercial fence stuff.
but with a mix in all of the things that touch fence, basically. I think some of what we talk about is applicable to all trades in the construction industry. And so, hopefully you guys can get in there. So this is the PowerHouse Fence Show.
Welcome.
Get in.
Welcome.
Sit down. Strap in. Hard hats on. Plan sets out. Let's get to work.
All right. So we're not live. When you're watching this, I will be attending our local chapter's membership meeting.
Right.
Of local AFA chapter membership meeting. So we were going to be live, but we can't. Sorry. Maybe next time.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Again, Dan, Zach, we are here.
We are. So I finished the whole season of Unhinged.
Cool. I have to be honest.
Mm-hmm. You listened to the preview?
Yeah, I have. That's it. I mean, I really appreciate what they've done. They've definitely done a really good job of getting my attention. It's just one of those things. It's like, I don't know. Everyone you got those things, right? Where you're like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'm going to do that. And then it just doesn't happen. That's one of them for me. So I'm mad props to all the people and all the work that's gone into advertising and producing that, and all of the people I know and have met, and I really appreciate them in, meeting them and being around them. So that's what I can say.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you liked it. You said that.
Yeah,
good quality.
Cool. Yeah,
entertaining, and that's cool.
Had a ton of sound effects and stuff like that going on, and the last episode definitely took a twist. I'll say that. So if you haven't listened to the whole thing, go check it out.
Now I'm intrigued.
Yeah,
I might just listen to the last episode
because it's the whole thing is a mystery.
A mystery, right? That's cool. Right.
So, anyways, yeah, that's cool. That's really about it. I was on vacation last week with the family out in East Tennessee. And so didn't really listen to much of anything when we were doing that other than, kids.
Yeah.
And all of the things that come with that.
Cool, man. That's good. I'm glad y'all did that.
Yeah.
Thank you, listeners. We appreciate all of you, listeners and watchers and whatnot, and all the people who have supported us and approach us when we see them at trade shows and whatnot. And all this is for you guys, really. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a whole lot of point to this.
Speaking of trade shows, we have one right around the corner.
What?
Yeah.
Do tell.
Yeah. So September 5th through 7th, the West Coast Fence Show in Reno, Nevada.
I'm going to take a guess. Hold on. Yes, I believe that to be in booth. Am I right? Booth 516 and 518.
That sounds right.
Cool.
I think you got it. You nailed it.
How'd I know that?
Yeah. So
we'll be giving some stuff away. I'm currently putting some swag.
Don't tell them what it is
together. Yet. It's stuff. I said stuff. You're gonna get some stuff. I've personally hand selected some items that I would find useful at the trade show.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be wonderful stuff. You definitely want to come by and get some.
Yeah, we put everything together. It's pretty cool.
Yep. And it's in our favorite color. Yeah. You could guess what that is, but we'll just let you wait and find out.
Might be pink.
Might be pink.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll be at we didn't talk about our sponsors.
You're going to do Tony Thornton's Fence Business Conference in December.
Yeah, we didn't talk about our sponsors.
This show is brought to you by
all of these people up here.
MFC Manufacturing, Simpalo, Memphis Fence Company. And we partner with Tony Thornton of FenceConsultingGroup.com.
That's it.
That's www.FenceConsultingGroup.com.
Should be a link in the description to Tony's events. Check them out. Be there. I want to say be there or be square. but I don't know if I
Huey
have
Lewis in the
permission
news
to.
said it's hip to be square.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know if you
No.
you get down with the Huey Lewis in the news doctrine, but I mean,
I
if
don't
you
know.
appreciate that,
I actually don't know anything about that.
okay.
I don't even know who that is.
Well, I don't know what that is. Well, you're apparently square,
I
or
guess
not,
so.
or not hip, at least.
Interesting.
Now it's time for our favorite time with Ilaria Pisoni, the Italian word of the week. Welcome, Ilaria,
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today.
Of
all the
course.
way from Italia.
Yeah.
She flies here every week just to do this show.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Yes, how do you get a plane in that tiny internet cable? Just kidding. Let's see. The Italian word of the week today is, let me guess, commerciale or something.
It's close. It's commerciale.
Commerciale.
I have to get prepared. Commerciale.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. Good job.
I have a couple of questions while
Yes.
we're talking about Italian words and things. But he should say that again, right? Before we go on.
Yeah, say it again.
Commerciale.
Oh wow, that was better. Good job.
You got to go lazy.
I know. You got to have the lazy face.
That's it. Is it okay to eat angel hair pasta?
Yeah.
You sure?
Well, not with like tomato sauce.
What am I supposed to eat it with?
Like pastina.
What the heck
What
is
is that?
Like pesto?
No, it's like with broth.
Oh, okay.
You know what I like to eat my angel hair pasta
No,
with?
I don't want to know.
Butter.
Oh, well, that's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
Kids do that, so acceptable.
Wait, y'all don't have macaroni and cheese?
Right, that's right. You know how I like noodles?
We have
Macaroni
something
and
like
cheese.
we have something like mac and cheese. It's called four cheese.
Four
I
cheese.
bet it's better.
I was thinking about what I was talking to you guys about before the show, and I thought, what if someone listens to us at 2 times? There's someone right now listening to us at 2 times speed.
You know, so as I've been going through audiobooks, I've made it to 1.25. It's as far as I've
Pretty
gotten.
good. I mean, it depends on the content. It's like if it's going slow, then
You have it's weird because it like makes you focus. You can't like if you're just listening to it at normal speed, then it's kind of like you can halfway pay attention, but then like think about something else or whatever.
you know what I can't do?
What?
Make a left-hand turn in the car while I'm listening at more than 1 time speed.
Right. I feel like if you get to 1.25, like you really have to focus.
I gotta pull over.
Yeah. Yep. All right, man. We're gonna try to have a short show today, so let's get serious, okay? Let's get down to business here.
Okay.
You're yep.
Is that what it? That doesn't translate.
Yeah, that was a perfect fit. Don't worry about it.
We just got 8.
I'm not reading it again.
What? Oh. No. I'm just leaving it there forever because
So
you're gonna practice your pirate voice.
If you're listening to this current episode, there is a poem that's just wedged in the middle of our show outline or agenda, if you will. We like to call it an outline, not an agenda. Outline is way more like what we do, but it's a poem. I read it once on the show. I was challenged to read it in a pirate voice, so I did. I don't remember what episode that was. It was about 2 or 3 episodes ago. So if you want to hear it, it's out there. And Dan just insists on leaving it in the smack in the middle of our agenda. Yep. I guess maybe I'll read it in a different accent this time.
Yeah, right. We're just waiting for the day whenever Zach feels like performing again, and we're gonna all love it.
So
everyone loved it. Everyone reached out to me and they said how amazing it was.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into this thing, man.
Oh, let's do it. I'm with you this time. I'm with you. Sorry, it took me a little while. It takes me a sec to get toned down a little bit.
So this is part 3 of us revealing our process and how the different departments of our business run. We talked about kind of how we're like separated in like a couple episooses ago. So the first,
are we going to have a recap?
No.
I need a recap.
You forgot what we talked about?
Last time was me.
Yeah, last time you talked about all the ornamental things.
Yeah, about welding.
All the things. So so episode 1, we kind of talked about how our business is structured. We talked about how we did residential And then in the second one, Zach filled us in on the ornamental. Now we're going to do like our business to business commercial.
Yeah.
And
we're going to try to add my experience in this one a little bit too, because this is a business to business commercial, which I personally do. So we have some insight. We've taken some notes from other parts of the department, but I'll kind of add in how I do it if I need to. So let's roll through.
So as I was making this, I was like talking about like our business to business chain link world. So yeah. So I don't they run like a pretty well oiled machine.
Yeah.
And you know, Kenny and Randy, they've both been on the show. If you want to go back and hear their stories, you can go hunt them down. But I think they knock it out pretty good, man, and they stay on top of their stuff. And so it runs pretty well. You ready?
Yes, I'm so ready.
I can tell. You look pretty ready.
Yeah,
you look like you're laser focused. Am I talking at 1.25? All right. So, of course, we start with a lead, right? So Randy is mainly in the office.
Yes.
And so Randy likes to talk to whoever's calling in and kind of feel them out and, get an idea for what the job is and kind of collect all of the information that they want. Of course, who's calling, who's going to be on site, so that we can meet with them. We need contact information for everybody, emails to send a quote to, addresses, all of this kind of stuff, like your basic information, right?
Right.
So
a big portion of that we've kind of gone directly to Kenny. So a lot of stuff has been going straight to Kenny, basically, which allows him to schedule. Mm-hmm. And Kenny is so proactive about these opportunities. It's likely that if they call today, they'll get a site visit from Kenny today.
Oh yeah. Kenny told me a few weeks ago, somebody called and he was there in 20 minutes. So, I mean, it just so happened that he was like in the area and finished up another call. And so he went by there, but they're, like I said,
that's a lot
on it, man.
Smaller stuff. These are like repairs, time sensitive repairs where there's been like a security breach. And that's a big chunk of what they're focusing on and trying to capture. So hence the time sensitive nature is that one, obviously we want to be first on the job, but secondly, we want to be first on the job so that we can get the customer back operating and secure as quickly as possible.
We want to deliver wow.
That's right.
And I mean, if you called a fence company and they were there in 20 minutes and you had a quote the next morning, I mean, the only way you could deliver more wow would be if they were there in 20 minutes and you had a quote in 30.
Right.
Right. That maybe would be a little more, but I feel like it's pretty good.
So we did talk a bit about our process or the other version of this process that happens at Memphis Fence Company and how we use Monday.com to kind of organize leads and the workflow. And really the business to business chain link division is pretty much pen and paper. Mm-hmm. We do have a form on Monday.com. Recently, Kenny asked that we just dispense with that form and actually defer all calls to him so that he can collect the information in the fashion that he wants it in. And that's kind of how that's going. So,
news to me. And I'll be honest, I don't like that. Right? Because what happens when Kenny's meeting with a customer and 4 people call him while he's meeting with a customer?
Well, I think that was while Randy was out. So Randy obviously will field the calls from the office while Kenny's not. But it's like basically just bypass that form completely.
Interesting.
So, and Kenny does use some digital tools. I think he uses like an Outlook calendar or an iPhone calendar or something. So they're using something in that way, but a lot of their stuff is still just pen and paper.
I really want to go down this rant path right now about that. But listeners,
we're not going to.
It's your lucky day. I'm not going to do it and make you listen to that.
No, because as you said, it's a well-oiled machine that's working.
Yeah.
You said it yourself.
How much data is being collected when you bypass your CRM?
Right. So again, data collection and that sort of thing. We are also not doing a lot of pre-qualifying in that respect. So there's that going on,
That just derailed my whole train.
I'm just That's
Man.
this is what it is.
Okay. So, yeah, if he's not available, we have a form in monday.com that has automations and stuff that we just completely threw out the window and chose not to use.
His eye's about to start.
And so now we carve it in a stone tablet and hand deliver it to Kenny instead.
That's right.
All right. So cool. Then Kenny goes out and meets with the customers, right? We're just passing it, man. You need to be showing Zach over here cracking up.
I was just thinking about some of the ways that paper's managed around here.
Right.
When I type it and then instead of emailing it, I print it and then scan it.
Oh, what about this morning? Hold on. Let me tell this story. This is pretty fun. So this morning, I was asked to go to a plumbing company to pick up a permit. All right. So we have a couple buildings that we're leasing, trying to get a certificate of occupancy on one of them. And so we had to have a plumber come in and do some work, and they had to pull a permit. So I was asked to go to the plumbing company to get the permit. And my response was, why do I have to go to a plumbing company to get the permit? Like, I found out about this at like 9:00 last night, right? This made no sense to me at all. But hey, okay, I was asked to. Maybe there's something going on, whatever. So I show up at the plumbing company this morning. And I was like, hey, I was asked to come over here and get a permit. And they said, what? I was like, yeah, they asked me to come pick up a permit. This lady, she goes, honey, it's 2024. We could just email it to you. I said, yes. And I know I could go online and I have access to the permit that was pulled there too. So I have no idea why I'm here, but I was asked to. And she's like, well, I don't really know what to do for you. I said, I tell you what, how about you just take a sticky note and write the permit number on it, and I'll take that back with me. So that way I can put something in their hand. And so it was a great time. It was a very effective use of my day. So anyways,
I'm just going to not say that much, for the rest of this episode.
What? No, this is fun. This is good. Let's see how many more surprises I can get while I'm sitting here.
A lot of times we schedule same day. We said that. A lot of times we get there real quick. As I said, the sense of urgency on the customer does, in this case, produce a sense of urgency on our part. It's not a failure to plan. It's a sense of emergency, right?
I personally think that we probably sell some jobs because we're the quickest draw.
Right. That's true. But Kenny has a general, sense of compassion or desire to help them fence in their property. Memphis is, a lot of at least the jobs we're responding to are as a result of theft.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, it's important to the customer that they don't get anything else stolen.
Yeah.
So sure, we're getting the job, but we're also, first on the scene to offer the solution, right? Like that's ultimately, that's part of our mission statement. Is why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Because it ultimately helps people.
It does. It does indeed. But hey, listeners, I think being the first one to get there and turn your quote in gives you an advantage.
Sure.
So there's that too, right?
Sure.
So yeah, pretty quick, man. Pretty quick turnaround on all that stuff. And the cool thing about that world, like I've ran those sales calls sometimes whenever, people have been on vacation and things like that. I never did it full time, but basically my method was in the morning, I would collect all of the people that had called in. And then I would kind of look at where they were throughout the city, and I would basically like plan out a route. And then I would just call the first one and I'd be like, hey, this is Dan with Memphis Fence. I was going to see if now would be a good time for me to head your way. I can be there in 20 minutes or whatever that is. And, that's kind of the cool thing about it, because a lot of the people are just there. So you don't really have to like schedule it in advance or anything like that. You're not scheduling it 2 weeks out or whatever. A lot of them are at the facility already. And, to Zach's point, repairs, truck drivers hit the gate, we need to get it fixed, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's urgency in a lot of the situations too. But
so how that goes, we get on the site, specifically Kenny. This is Kenny's process. He'll walk the job with the customer that moment. Sometimes he'll paint some stuff then.
Yeah.
He does take a ton of photographs, measures everything, and basically does all the footwork as if the job is sold on the initial site visit.
Yeah. Yeah. So the painting thing, like I've already said it's a well-oiled machine that they operate, right? So I kind of am a little mixed about that, because now, Yeah, if you sell the job, that's great. It's already done.
And
You
I
don't
may
have to go back. No, he does.
okay.
Yeah, he does. I'm pretty sure he paints a lot of times when he's there. Right. And it's cool that he doesn't have to go back and meet with the customer again to go over the layout and all that stuff. But if they hire somebody else to do the job, we've like kind of,
Which
helped
that
them
has
along the
happened
way.
before,
Oh
actually.
yeah. Yeah. So that's I mean, I'm not gonna, I don't feel any way about that I would be like, no, stop painting. Right. It's just kind of one of those things that I'm like, I don't know how I feel about
Right.
that, if that makes sense. But, yeah. Yeah. So and then Kenny comes back to the office and
Yes.
makes the work order.
Makes a work order.
So,
Produces a more refined version of the hand drawing he produced on site.
yep.
The work order is input into a PDF, which we all basically use the similar version of that
Work
for this
order forms are
application.
pretty much all the same.
They
So-
are ultimately the same. Mine's just a little different because I like to incorporate some photos into the body of the work order.
Well, and yours requires different information for
True.
custom built. So like the line items, like the title of the line where you're filling out stuff is a little different, but
Right. So what that contains is the customer contact info, the location, if different from the customer, where the work will be performed. Obviously a site contact, a telephone number, an email address, the scope of work, and then we will attach the drawing or several photos of the work site with, I think I said material specs, but very detailed material specs, which
Yep.
I think it would take like a fence professional to know what these mean, but they're on there.
Yep. Yeah. I would say probably 95% of the customers that receive that have no idea what it is.
Sure.
And they don't, honestly, in this world, I don't think they really care, right? If they ask for a commercial grade fence and you're giving them a commercial grade fence, that's all I think they really care
Right.
about. But when we go to install it, this same form is used as the work order that our crews get. And so they actually do know
Right.
what all of it means.
Yep.
So they know what their instructions are, right? I'd like to talk about the drawing thing for just a second.
Yeah. Let's get in there.
So basically what Kenny's doing is he's taking a notepad.
Yeah. Legal pad.
Yeah. And he's like just drawing a rough drawing while he's out there on site. And so he was coming back into the office and then drawing it again on another piece of paper. And I think he's still doing some of that. But so we did get him set up on ArcSite, like on their, just their drawing only thing. And so he's been kind of exploring that and learning it and trying to, make that transition from drawing it the second time on paper to utilizing ArcSite on his iPad.
Right.
So
I feel that, man. I was Kenny was an installer. Kenny was did some fabrication, a lot of I don't know what that has to say with anything. I guess I'm paralleling our experience a little bit. That was me. And the transition to running a business where I needed to produce more quality drawings, or the transition from hand drawings to digital, it took me a little bit.
it's a process.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of experience navigating a computer in that respect. So I feel that,
Yeah.
I get that.
Yep, I understand. And change is a thing and it takes time.
That's right.
And so that's what he's going through some change right now.
Very cool.
But it is cool. Like we showed it to him and he kind of played around with it, watched some videos and all that, and he was all excited about it, So that's pretty cool.
So from there, the information is passed off, all that passed off to Randy.
Most of the time.
And
occasionally you or me or
That's true.
somebody, if it's, something
Well,
that kind of falls into our worlds a little more. But
yeah,
most
if there's
of the time,
other materials on the job other than chain link, if there's ornamental on the job or something that we may have to work in tandem on, then I'll get a piece of that too.
Yep.
And it depends on how that goes. Sometimes we give them two separate quotes, and I'll basically use the same version of their work order. And then sometimes if it's two things, maybe on a larger job, then I'll prepare a proposal that includes both the scope for the chain link and the ornamental.
Yep.
So that can go one of two ways, but typically for the majority of the work, it goes to Randy. Randy does his thing, produces the magical number, and submit. There we go.
Yep. And so normally they'll have a price, within a 24-hour period.
Depending on the complexity. I know something they're working on now involves like some netting, which is not something that we do a whole lot of. So that one's taking a little bit longer than usual.
And if there's automation and core drilling and
core drilling,
stuff like
things of
that.
nature, that's right.
But I mean, in general, probably within 24 hours,
I'd agree with that.
So, all right. So, some of the things are pretty analog.
That's
right.
Yeah, that was the point I was trying to make about the paper.
Yeah. Yeah. No, there's a lot of paper shuffle. A lot of the things are pretty analog. And
Randy has a book on his desk that looks like
the ledger that I could imagine that like Al Capone used to manage his empire, or his debts.
So the book is, like, I don't know, 24 inches long and 12 inches tall, and
like a ledger
open
book.
at all times. And this, I think, it's a ledger for numerous years of jobs.
Yeah.
So the job numbers from however many years are been logged in this book.
You know what I've realized? So I'm helping work on an operations management school for the AFA. And a part of that was, so there's going to be, for those of you that haven't seen anything about that, there's going to be like a soft launch that's done in September. And then I think at FinTech next year, like the full refined class will begin. So
that's cool. Will it be something that we'll be able to take a test and get a stamp and all that?
Yep.
Cool.
That's right. So it'll be cool. But anyways, as I was going through that, we've had this conversation several times. Like, how can I look at somebody else's business and be able to say, oh, well, you should change this, this, and this. But it's a little bit harder to look at your own, right? And so this operations management school has been a unique opportunity to kind of sit down and basically write out how I think a business should operate. And I'm like, oh, there's some things in here that like a lot of the stuff we do, some of the things we actually don't do or don't do it the way that I wrote it or whatever. And so one of the things that, sorry for that whole long ramble, but one of the things is like job numbers and purchase order numbers. Right. And I think that's something that we should talk about on the show at some point, because how many people are creating job numbers and PO numbers that are associated with that job number and stuff. So somebody remember that. Remind us.
JOs and POs. JNOs.
Yeah. JNPO. So Randy's book is all of his jobs. They're assigned a job number. They go in there, and then once they're entered into QuickBooks, like they're marked. And then once the job is completed and billed, it's again marked. And I think they write like some contact information for the customer and the price of the job or something like that. But I mean, the biggest point of it is just a log of job numbers and then a way you can mark it off when the job is billed.
I've never seen a calendar in there, man. Never.
He has a calendar on his desk.
It doesn't have anything on it.
Yeah. He writes it on there like a couple days before,
I asked him one time, that my biggest fear in this whole thing was scheduling. And I guess it's more about like, how is the customer or contractor or whoever that I'm accountable to gonna feel or think about what I say when I tell them 2 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever.
So that to me is not even the biggest thing about scheduling. The biggest thing about scheduling to me is how can I do it to where it's at least somewhat accurate?
Right. Well, so that was the point, is like, I don't want to commit to something I don't want to be the guy that says, yeah, and then not be able to make it.
Yep.
Because people do that. And I think generally it's honest. They really want to.
Yep. Well, he's doing a lot of jobs that have like different priority levels, right?
Right. Good point.
If somebody, we just closed on this building, we're going to move in here in 3 months. And like, a part of moving in is getting this fence in. That's not the top priority. If someone's gate got taken out by a truck last night and they need that to secure their property, like they'll go to the top of the list.
Sure. With multiple crews.
Right.
So there's that.
So in his world, it's the scheduling thing is even like a little more complex.
I was like, please give me some pointers and secrets. And he said, I don't have any.
Yeah.
Case in point, I went to the all-knowing, wise old Randy, which I do. And very often he has some input on this one that was kind of like, hey, man, honestly, I think we're all kind of just winging it.
Yep. Yeah.
So
it's a struggle. And so I tried to like implement some sort of calendar and stuff like that in the ornamental world before you were here.
Right.
We did it in residential, but man, it was like it's just constantly, it's so fluid.
Right. And then there's so many contingencies that have to be met that if everyone whoever's listening to this knows.
Well,
I mean,
someone calls and says, hey, those things that you ordered for the fence, they're not going to be here until 3 weeks after we said they were going to be here.
which happened today.
Yeah. So, I mean, now your schedule is just like screwed up because that happened. So, yeah,
Right.
scheduling is hard. And then it rains, right?
Yeah, sometimes.
Right.
And then you have someone who's sick or you get sick or whatever happens.
Yep.
One job takes a little longer. Again,
Mhm.
too, in the chain link, their jobs seem to go a little faster.
Yeah. A lot of the jobs they do are pretty in and out, pretty quick stuff, right? Well, I mean, they're building some gates, but I mean, if they have to build a big complex gate, it might take a couple days.
Right.
Right. Is where the job that has those medallions that are going to be late, like you might be building that job for 3 or 4 months.
I'm going to be.
Right. So, I mean,
that's legit.
it's just it's a different world. And so again, the way that we're separated into different departments, all of this is why, right? Because your world and Randy's world are vastly different. Like you're both providing a similar service and, fence. But like the way that you get from the start to the end is a lot different.
Sure.
Hopefully that makes sense. I kind of fumbled through that a little bit, but you get it.
Yeah, the end result, the purpose,
Yeah.
is significantly different. I wouldn't put a whole lot of pressure on the job I'm working on currently because there's not any sense of security or anyone's business or life in jeopardy because of the placement of the fence.
There is a deadline in that contract that we signed.
Sure.
So there's that.
Right. But I mean, as far as like, that's it. Right.
But yeah,
so
I mean,
we don't have to get their re-enclose their property or whatever. Right.
Yeah. It's not a security thing, right? It's not any of that kind of stuff. But, so, all right, we got the contract, right? So the customer accepted, they signed off on the contract, they sent it back in. We have a new customer information form. If it is indeed a new customer, or if it's someone that we haven't done work for in 18 months or 3 years or something like that, then we'll have them fill out this form. And the whole point of that form is just to get the billing information right. There's been a lot of times that we have taken an invoice or we've invoiced a job and we sent it to the wrong people. Right. So maybe they sent it to the person that called or sent it to the person that we sent the estimate to or something like that.
Right.
And that person actually doesn't do anything with the bill. They just assume that they got a copy of it or whatever. And I mean, they just go on about their life. They never turn it into the billing department. And that's been, I would say, one of our biggest kind of obstacles in the collections world is simply the fact that we sent information to the wrong
bill
people.
to.
Right. So we have this form that's created and it says, who do we send the bill to? What is your billing process like?
Right.
And, it says on there, our terms are net 30. If your terms are something different, we need to know now.
Somebody returned one recently and it was like, what did it say? We pay, you do the work, we pay. That's what they wrote in their.
Some people get pretty creative on their whole billing process.
You provide the fence, we pay you.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. People get pretty crafty on there. But
there were some other responses on there that were pretty, I don't know if they were intended to be humorous or sarcastic. It's pretty entertaining, to say the least.
Yeah, so we do that. It's a good idea. If you don't do that, I mean, it's a little, one piece of paper thing that you could put together and just get the information that you need. So we get that. And then all of the jobs are logged in the book that we talked about. The job numbers assigned. The jobs are then entered into QuickBooks. So we build out an estimate in QuickBooks that has all of our cost of goods sold and everything else in it.
Mm-hmm.
And, then at some point, depending on when the job's to be installed and all of that stuff, the materialist will go to our guy in the yard and he'll get all the posts cut. He'll get kind of pull stuff. It's not like everything is pulled and staged nicely on like a pallet necessarily. But he'll get all the posts cut and bundled together and like get some, maybe get the rail pulled and bundled and, stuff like that. So he's taken some steps of staging the material, but the crews are really still going and pulling all their fittings and stuff like that.
Yep.
And that's a thing that I would like to progress a little more towards is getting it to where we could stage jobs. But again, the crazy thing about the scheduling stuff, you'd have to have enough room that you could set out,
6 or 8
25
jobs,
jobs at a time. And then,
enough.
so that way, if the, your plan changed for tomorrow, then you don't have to like, oh, now I got to go pull all my stuff, right? If you're going to do it, I think you need to do it all. But anyways, yeah, so something we'd like to work towards is getting that material pulled and staged. And hopefully one day we can get there, man. So if there's gates that have to be built, that'll kind of go a couple different ways. Sometimes the gates can be built before crew goes out there, but normally if we're installing a new gate, setting new post, all that, we'll go set the post first and measure the opening and then build the gate to make sure that it fits properly. That's the majority of what we do. Sometimes like repairs and stuff like that, obviously you can build the gates beforehand. But yeah, so materialist went to the guy in the yard. He got some stuff ready, and gate work order. We have another work order form that is for the gate, and it goes into the gate shop and they'll build the gates. They also do, if we have any posts that need to be plated or anything like that, they do that in there.
Any sort of baffles, any kind of like chain link fabrication happens in the gate fabrication shop.
Yep.
And occasionally some overflow ornamental needs, depending on what's going on.
Yep. So then if Kenny, now we have received a contract, right? We've got everything logged and all our I's dotted and T's crossed and all of that stuff internally. We have kind of pulled and staged some material, maybe built some gates, all of that. So now we're ready to install the job. And, once we, I know. So kind of the first step is to get some white paint on the ground, right? If it wasn't done before, then it will be done by now. And then when we call in a locate, there is white paint on the ground for the utility locators to go out and they know where the fence is going. And then they'll, they just coordinate anything that we might need with the customer and subcontractor. So sometimes we'll deal with customers that are, maybe they have a bunch of, semi trailers or
clearing.
Clearing.
Clearing's a big one.
Yeah.
So that's where, when Kenny goes out to paint, he'll double check to make sure that the clearing has been done. We don't do clearing. We don't mess with clearing. Well, not usually as a standard, but so they request that it be cleared 3 feet on either side, or 3 to 4 feet on either side of the work zone.
Yeah.
And so he'll double check that. If anything needs to be moved, say, I mentioned that we do work for factories and warehouses. If they have any equipment that's parked on the fence line, they'll try to coordinate that.
Yeah. A lot of distribution and shipping and stuff like that.
Right. So there's trucks involved. And so anything like that, where there's going to be something that we may need out of the way in order just to perform the work, that's about it.
Yep. Yeah. So the things that y'all run into that have to be done before you can actually go out and install a fence, we run into that as well. And so when Kenny's doing that kind of like pre-installation visit, he'll make sure that stuff's actually been done that we need done. Because, we've had.
And confirming that the locate has been performed, which is pretty necessary.
Yeah.
We've had a few instances in the past couple weeks where it was supposedly cleared, and then the guys went to perform the work and it hadn't cleared, or there was no paint, at least.
Happens a decent bit to us around here that your locate clears and you go out there and come to find out, well, there's no water mark, there's no gas mark. It looks like AT&T and Comcast have been here to mark their stuff, but nobody else has been here.
Yeah, typically the data companies will mark.
Yeah.
And it'll be marked for a long time before the utility company.
Marked for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very mark.
Yeah. So we deal with that a lot. And yeah, so I mean, we try to like make people understand, hey, if you show up to a job site and nothing is marked, like don't dig a hole. Right. But I won't say that always happens.
That's true.
Sometimes sometimes they go out there and they just start digging and they're like, oh crap, nothing was marked here. And that's a whole fight in itself. But then the crew goes out, right? And the crew goes out and they start installing.
They do what fence crews do, man.
Yeah. They go do their thing. They knock it out. They put it in and it looks great. It's amazing. And, I mean, we've talked about this a couple different times in the past, but in the last 2 episodes probably. But I mean, when you're going through the installation process, you just deal with whatever comes up.
Right. So I guess I want to point out we're about to get into the installs complete. The job's nearing the end. So in that process of entering into QuickBooks, Kenny and Randy have an administrative assistant who inputs that information, who then also does the billing. Right.
Shout out to Lynn.
Shout out to Lynn.
Yep.
Jamming.
Yep. So Lynn gets the estimates entered into QuickBooks, and then once the job's complete, Kenny or Randy give that job back to Lynn, and Lynn will bill it, and then Lynn marks it in the book as billed. So we kind of, I don't know if you know this, but we kind of run that list of jobs is paralleled in Monday. So whatever's going into Randy's logbook is also going into Monday.
Nice. Thanks to Lynn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Lynn is a Monday guru.
Simply for the data.
My Monday predecessor. In
Yeah.
fact, most of the workflow that I would say all of it, but I've learned a little bit about it now that I've kind of like made it my own. But my starting point for my Monday board is Lynn's baby.
Yep.
So
yeah, Lynn spent a lot of time working on stuff in Monday, and I think she's attended like some seminar, webinar kind of stuff for Monday, and so she's kind of the go-to.
Is that what she does when she's in there with the eye mask on? Is that what that's called? The Monday webinar?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just kidding. Not to put you on blast, Lynn.
Her siesta time.
Right.
But yeah, Lynn does take naps during her lunch break in her office sometimes.
I'm so
True
jealous.
story.
I don't know how she does that.
And it's pretty much just rad. Lynn's cool.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know how she just goes to sleep like that in an office that has quite a few people roaming around and doors and phones. And I mean, it's pretty impressive that she can just go out there and go in there and start snoozing. And me, if I take a nap in the middle of the day, it either is not going to happen or it's going to be 3.5 hours.
Right.
There's no in between for me. I can't take a 30-minute nap. But
so now Lynn's invoiced. She's currently the watch. It's all good. We're just moving right along. She's now the watchdog, guard dog to make sure that we get paid. Mm-hmm. Typically, our terms that we extend to the customer are net 30. And as we mentioned, the new customer form where they designate you build fence, we pay.
Yep.
Presumably, that form does dictate that our terms are net 30.
Yep.
And at that point, if there's any room for negotiation or they want to say, someone's 45 or 60, then, we make some concessions depending on the job or who we're working for or the relationship with the customer.
Yep.
So typically the billing would be a net 30 for the most part. So
my go-to response, if they want to extend the terms, what is it?
5% every 30 days past 30 or 15 days past 30, I think.
For every 30 days you want to go past 30, add 5% to your bill.
That's correct. That's how we did it.
I don't know that I'd necessarily suggest that to people if you want the job.
I think we developed that for a very tricky situation.
Yeah, I think it was just a customer that was being like pretty difficult. We were already kind of in that like, I'm not sure we want to take this job mindset. And then they come back and say they want 120-day terms.
Right. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
5% for every 30 days outside of 30.
Right. Yeah. So we did that. We charged them 5% a month to extend it. And I think we've done that. Man, I don't know if it was you, but I think we did that a time or two and people are like, I'll just give you a credit card number when you're done.
Yep. Good. I mean, fantastic.
Yep. So that's a whole thing too, is like we basically pass along the cost of processing a credit card in those situations. So we do wholesale retail stuff and like we kind of just put it on there by default most of the time. But in the residential world, we didn't talk about this then, but we also included that credit card fee by default. But if people wanted to pay with a cash or check, then we would discount it, right? Instead of trying to upcharge them and all that stuff. But
right.
In the business to business commercial world, in the general contractor world, not many people are paying with a credit card. And if they in my experience, if they are going to pay with a credit card, there's some reason that you've gotten to that point. Either they didn't want to pay the bill, their terms were crazy, something like that. And then you just have to make a choice. Like, am I going to just eat the fee? Right. So that I do indeed get paid, or am I going to really argue about that? And a lot of times we do. We just eat the fee and we say, thanks for paying us. We're moving on.
I like how you've worded this. Corporate America.
Corporate America.
I'm talking to you, corporate America.
Yeah. So like Zach said, the form affords people an opportunity to like say that their terms are different. And so we try to address that on the front end. Before the form, we'd find out 30 or 45 days after we send them the bill, oh no, our terms are 120 days. Like, oh, well, that would have been cool to know on the front end instead of now. So we do try to be a little proactive about that. Also, all the collections stuff is done in Monday. So like once when anyone who like doesn't pay, I don't think that Lynn does some process when the job is billed in Monday. I don't know if she's got it set up to where it will automatically go into collections if the people like she has to go in there and record whenever we receive payments for all the job. And if you don't record payment, then it will flow over to a collections board. And that's when, you know, it basically starts hounding them to get them to pay. I think that's how it works, but I honestly would have to check with Lynn to make sure.
But it is actively being tracked in QuickBooks as well.
Yep. QuickBooks does it. And so we use the desktop enterprise version of QuickBooks, and it has like a whole collection center in there, and it does help you with your collections efforts a little bit. Not sure if the online one does it or not, but there very well may be something in there for you too. So that's pretty much it, man.
I think we've covered it all.
I don't really there's a lot of little details.
That's true.
And we're not trying to really get too far in the weeds with all the little details and stuff. But we're just trying to give you like a broad overview of our processes and how we do things. And I don't know if you know a better way, then let me know. And if maybe this will help somebody out there.
Cool. Thank you everybody for joining us. I don't know what's happening to my accent. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm talking at half speed. Thanks all for joining. Well, I was just thinking about it. At 2 times, what's the inverse of that, right? So
can you talk at 2 times speed?
I don't, like the micro machines.
Yeah.
Motion. No, I can't talk at all. So thank you guys so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We had an influx in listeners over the past 24 hours, which is super rad. Probably solely due to Ilaria giving out peaches earlier today.
Yeah.
Right?
Everyone that y'all gave peaches to went and listened to the podcast. That's what it was.
Cool. Thank you guys for that. Thanks all for joining us. Hope to see you guys soon. Come check us out in Reno.
Either one.
We're going to Brazil.
Yeah, right. That would be cool. We need to have a trade show in Rio.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks everybody. Again, Zach Shue signing off.
Dan Turbyville.
Adios.